and primarily it's like a play happens, and if it's like a sack or a great block, I'll be like, like this with my hand, like I got it, I got it, I got it, and I get excited. And if it's something he gets really excited about, then he takes it.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Wisdom Wednesday presented, of course, by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman. Most of you know that. 5 teams, 7 years, long time ago now at this point. But thank goodness that I was blessed with the ability to potentially play in the NFL, and I was able to make that happen because my whole life is as a result of that now, right? I mean, I've got a bunch of broadcasting gigs. I called games on TV for CBS and I guess NFL Network after last Saturday, and I call a bunch of games on the radio for Westwood One. This week will actually be my last TV game of the season, my last CBS game. It'll be the Houston Texans at the Tennessee Titans. And then I got a bunch of podcasts. Really highly encourage you to listen to the College Draft Podcast if you haven't already. We also put it on the Even Money feed this week. But Emory Hunt already 1-0 with his bet of Penn State laying the points against Boise State in the first CFP game last night. There's 3 more today. So if you just want to hear about those games, if you want to hear Emory Hunt and I talk about those games and talk about the spread in those games or just the players in those games, highly encourage you to listen to the College Draft Podcast or watch it, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. You can always check me out on social media. I appreciate those of you that do, at Ross Tucker NFL. Actually should have posted last night's spread. Oh man, that was delicious. I did post my beer, which was likewise delicious. If you guys want to check that out at some point, at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. You guys know that every week I have a couple different people that win a prize at the end of the week. It's 3, in fact. It's somebody that spreads the word via social media. You can just rate and review the show, which is an easy way to do it, on Apple Podcasts or whatever, and then forward it to me, Ross at rosstucker.com. Or you can take advantage of any of our sponsors like westshorehome.com/Ross or Ross on the Game Time app. Or you can just make a comment on YouTube and I'll do a video for you, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Anyway, it's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
All right, Jack, going to do Big Show a little bit differently today. The wisdom is coming from me because so often one of the primary email questions from you guys is usually, what's your prep like during the week? What's it like as a broadcaster? How much time do you put into it? All those things. And I feel like maybe, Jack, we did this a long time ago, but I can't recall the last time we did this. So I feel like rather than answering the same email question 3 or 4 different times, I feel like I'll dive into it with you guys, let you know kind of what my process is during the week. It'll be presented by Labatt Blue Light. If you really want to take things to the next level, drink some Labatt Blue Lights with your friends, live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. Great day to do that today, obviously, watching these 3 college football playoff games. They should be fantastic. So I guess, Jack, if I miss anything, feel free to jump in with any questions that you might have, because there might be things about it that I think are obvious, but maybe they're not so obvious. You know what I mean? Let's start with, I'm going to primarily talk about CBS and being on the 6th crew this year with Tom McCarthy and Jay Feely. So first of all, if you're on one of the top 5 crews, you get a game every week. every single week, 18 weeks. If you're on the sixth crew, like I am, I'd have to go back and actually tally it up now at this point, but I think you get between 7 to 10 games, maybe I got this year, 7 to 9, depending on if I counted the NFL Network game or not. And also, there were 2 games that we got, that the sixth crew got, that I didn't do, Jack, because there was a standalone college game on CBS, the broadcast network, the day before. So the main college crew for CBS are guys named Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson, and they do the 3:30 p.m. Eastern Big Ten game every Saturday, right? Then there are times where there's a noon game or a 7:30 game. Like the noon game might be Navy Air Force or Air Force Army, or the 7:30 game was like Colorado State. If there's a second game on big broadcast CBS, then I call that game, right? That's my job, to call that game as kind of the number 2 crew for college football. So there was multiple games this year, I think both maybe involving the Carolina Panthers, that my crew called, but I was not a part of that broadcast because I was doing a college game that week. But typically, I would say, I don't know. I think we usually find out like almost 3 weeks in advance. So it's like the Monday or Tuesday from when it would be 3 weeks. So I probably usually know like 20 or 19 days before the game. But sometimes it's only 12 days or 13 days before the game. And this week is truly unique because the NFL doesn't set the schedule until Sunday night. So I didn't find out till Monday at like noon that I was doing Titans-Texans this week. And then basically they kind of, have you ever seen those broadcast maps, Jack?
Yeah, like they have like almost like by county showing which game is on which channel, or like how like the channel is divided up and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm always doing a 1 o'clock or a 4 o'clock game. And so they'll have it divvied up based upon, which people are seeing which game, right? So whichever game the most people are going to see, I think this week it's Chiefs Broncos. That's the Jim Nantz Tony Romo game. Whichever game the second most people are going to see, I don't know what it is this week, is the Iron Eagle Charles Davis game. So they're the second crew, and then the third crew is Kevin Harlan, Trent Green. The fourth crew is Andrew Catalan, Jason McCourty, Tiki Barber. The fifth crew is Spiro Ditas and Adam Archuleta. And then I'm on the sixth crew with Tom McCarthy and Jay Fioli. So essentially, now there was 2 weeks, I think, where they had 7 games, which is Chris Lewis, and then Jason McCourty hops down and does that with him if there's a 7th game. But essentially, we're going to the 6th largest audience. So like for this week, when they divvied up, who's going to see which game, they figured out, we're probably going to a decent chunk of Texas, probably going to the whole state of Tennessee. I don't know where, I haven't seen a broadcast map for this week, but that's kind of how they do it. And so, it's usually the smallest of the 6 CBS audiences because that's how it works. So I find that out usually a couple weeks in advance. Once I know, Jack, what my game is, either that week or the next week, or certainly no later than the week of, I will follow some beat writers that I know, a beat writer or 2 from that team. So that helps, right? Like that way, for the Titans, it's like Teron Davenport and Jim Wyatt. And I got a couple guys for the Texans as well. So I follow along to those guys just so I get the updates of what important roster moves, important conversation, things that happen during the week, et cetera. So I'm kind of all over it. So that's important. I would say then, I usually don't get that much information in terms of notes. I usually get the information from the team on Tuesday, but the team's information is all positive, is the best way to describe it, right? So the team sends you information that's all positive about their team, whereas then on Wednesday and Thursday, I'll get the research from CBS and the NFL, and that will be a little bit more informative. AKA, we'll talk about the things that the team doesn't do well, also, right? Which is pretty important to know what they also don't do well. But what that means is Monday and Tuesday, I will watch at least the prior game for the team I'm calling, right? So Texans, Ravens, I've already watched. A little bit behind this week, but this morning I'm going to watch Titans against the Jaguars because you really want to see how they're playing. And then a lot of times if it's a division game and they've already played earlier, I'll watch the previous matchup. Now, what's interesting is this is my second Texans-Titans game this year. So I already did that game earlier, the Texans-Titans. So I watched the video Monday, Tuesday. I also, by the way, try to watch back my video, my game, Monday and Tuesday, like anything else, to see what I can do better, see what I can improve on, see what I didn't do well, all those things, right? So I try to do all those things when I can. So the video stuff is Monday, Tuesday. Then I start to go through all the notes Wednesday, Thursday. Then typically, this week's a little bit unique, but typically well, you know this, Jack, because I'm usually in a hotel room or we're usually figuring out what the schedule is, but usually Thursday night or Friday morning, I need to be in the home NFL city, the city for the home team. And on Friday, we would go to the home team's practice and kind of watch them practice and see who it looks like is going to play where. And they usually do red zone stuff, so you see some of their red zone plays and stuff like that. And then most of the time, they let you eat in the team cafeteria, which is clutch, and I am a very big fan of eating in team cafeterias. And then after practice, usually meet with the head coach, both coordinators, the quarterback, and then an offensive player and a defensive player. So that would be 6 guys max. Sometimes, like if the head coach specializes in one side of the ball or the other, then you don't talk to the coordinator on that side. You just talk to the head coach, and he tells you what there is on that side, because you don't want it to be too long, right? But so I have to be prepped and ready for those meetings with those coaches, making sure I know what I want to ask them and the players, right? So I already have to have that's why I already watched the video. That's why I already read through all the notes. So I know what they're good at. I know what they're bad at. I know what happened the last game. And so I'm ready to ask them questions that I think I'm thinking about. And so I would think that the fans and the people watching the game would be thinking about. And then we have the production meeting Friday, whatever. That's called a production meeting with the team. Then Friday night, typically we go out to dinner as a crew. That's like your night to go out to dinner, which is good because you talk about the game, you talk about life, you talk about each other's families. And I do think it helps with chemistry and continuity in the booth. Like the more you know the other people, the more comfortable you are with them, even the more like a 3-man booth, the more you're talking in social situations with myself and Tom McCarthy and Jay Feely, the more natural it is when you're doing it during the game, because you just converse with them more. So that's Friday. Saturday is interesting. It kind of depends on when the team gets into town, but Saturday morning you're usually free, right? So Saturday morning is when I kind of finish up whatever prep I hadn't gotten done by that point. And then depending on when the away team gets into the city, that's when you'll go to the away team's hotel and you'll meet with them. Same thing. Head coach, quarterback, coordinator, or both coordinators, and offensive player, defensive player. And usually the analyst or analysts, in this case, they ask most of the questions. I would say 50 to 70%. And then play-by-play guy or woman where it might be 10 to 15%, and sideline is the rest. But those meetings are primarily for the analyst to be able to ask the coaches and players as much as possible about the game, to be ready for the game and to be able to call a good game. And you're asking, football questions of them. So then after those meetings on Saturday, you'll have a full staff production meeting with your crew, just the CBS crew. So there's someone that handles the videos that we play during the games. There's someone that handles the graphics that we play during the games. And then, so we'll go over the videos Saturday night. We'll go over the graphics Saturday night. We'll go over what we want to say at the very start of the game. It's called the open. We'll go over what we want to say in the open at the very start of the game. When we're on camera. Sometimes there's pregame show obligations, like for CBS, they call it the whip around, where they come out to the stadium and we talk about some of the certain players. And then we go over things like we talk about how we think the game's going to go. And we talk about what we think is really important to mention or discuss during the game. And we dive into that quite a bit. And then that's it. Then Sunday morning, you get up. At this point, I have all my notes. I know everything. I've watched everything. I read through everything one more time Sunday morning while I'm working out. Head over to the stadium, call the game. We get to the airport, fly home, and get home late Sunday night, usually, sometimes red-eye Monday morning, and start the whole process over again for the next game. What did I miss, Jack? What questions would you have, or have you always had about a broadcaster that I totally didn't answer?
I feel like you hit a lot. I guess the one thing is that I guess it's a lot more hand signals, is making sure you two don't talk over each other. I always feel like that's a good thing you never notice, is broadcasters never trip over each other like we might do on the podcast. How are you figuring that out amongst each other to not do that?
Well, so first of all, I don't think you and I do that very often, but it does happen sometimes with Fezzik or Greg Cosell. What you realize is it's not, while it feels like a natural conversation, it's not, because what I notice, Jack, is if I talk and then Greg interjects, in a real conversation, I feel like I'd be able to hear Greg. But via our recording stuff, I don't hear him. You know what I mean? I have to see him moving his mouth, and then I try to stop to see him. So interestingly, there aren't really that many hand signals between me and the play-by-play guy. Every once in a while, if I want to make one quick point, I might put a finger up or hold two small fingers together so he knows I want to try to get in before the next play or whatever, to my buddy Tom McCarthy. But there's a bunch of hand signals between me and Jay Feely, right? And primarily it's a play happens, and if it's a sack or a great block, I'll be this with my hand, I got it, and I get excited. And if it's something he gets really excited about, then he takes it. The tougher ones are when you're not sure who should take it, right? But a lot of times we just kind of have a natural feel for it, which is pretty cool. All right, so Jack, my friends at westshorehome.com/Ross, they're having a New Year's flash sale. Get 20% off all projects, plus start the New Year's off the right way. We're going to give you an extra $500 off. Plus, you still get that extra $1,000 if you go to my specific website, westshorehome.com/Ross. Here's the deal. I've now done 3 doors. No, I've done 4 doors with West Shore Home. I've done 2 baths. At some point, I'm going to do windows. They have all kinds of different options there, and they do it all themselves. They're not subcontracting this out. These are all in-house, full-time employees. They can do the shower and stuff and the doors in a day. It's incredible. It's westshorehome.com/Ross. Even if you just want to see the before and after from my house, westshorehome.com/Ross. Smirnoff knows there's no I in football. Football's a we thing. An experience best enjoyed together with good drinks and good folks. Smirnoff's the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. And this is a great week to enjoy some Smirnoff cocktails. It's New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Day. It's college football playoff. It's NFL Week 18. This holiday, when you're enjoying the game and your cocktails, please make sure to drink responsibly. Smirnoff, we do game days. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross, let's get into some takes here. We're going to start the Cowboys. They released Ezekiel Elliott, and the Patriots, they also got rid of edge rusher Yannick Ngakoue.
So I believe both of these teams are giving these guys a chance to catch on with the playoff team. You know, the Cowboys said that when they released Zeke. I'm not really sure, how many playoff teams even want Zeke, to be honest with you. I don't know if that'll actually happen for him, that a playoff team will sign him. I mean, maybe, and clearly that's what he's hoping happens. I guess I'm not entirely convinced that that's going to happen for Zeke. We'll have to see. As for Ngakoue, I thought it was interesting that the Patriots, claimed him off waivers at all, but they needed edge rusher help desperately. It just doesn't seem like he has it anymore. He had a very dumb penalty on Saturday when he hit Herbert way late. So, yeah, that's his deal.
Former Titans head coach Mike Vrabel, his consulting contract has expired with the Browns, and he's likely going to be getting a promotion from that in the next few weeks.
It sounds like it, and certainly his agent is working it, right, for that to come out, that he's getting this promotion and blah, blah, blah. I think it's pretty clear that they're hopeful that Vrabel gets a head coaching job. There's a lot of rumors out there already that he's going to get a job. I don't know where that is. Sounds like people talk about Chicago for him. People talk about the Patriots for him. I've heard Ohio State for him, which kind of means to me that nobody really knows. But that is the conversation at this point, is about Vrabel and where he'll end up. I think that was smart for him to have the consulting contract end, with a week left so that he could, make sure he get on the front end of trying to get another job.
And 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, he appeared to have avoided a serious elbow injury in Monday night's game, but he is still unlikely to play this week.
That makes sense. Obviously, very disappointing Niners season. They're out of it. We all know that. But the big news, and we said this, I think, yesterday, and Dr. Chow was kind of all over this, sportsinjurycentral.com. The big news is that he's okay. That it's not related to the surgery he had. It's not a serious injury. So that's really good news. Also kind of good news, Jack, that for the first time in a long time, we can get to an email question, which we get to more of these, by the way, Tuesdays in January when we're done with power rankings. So if you've ever had a question for me, go ahead and send it to me, ross@rosstucker.com. By the way, a lot of you very often give me props for the job I do broadcasting, which I greatly appreciate. If you follow @AwfulAnnouncing on Twitter or X, they actually have they're doing grades for broadcast crews. So those of you that have gone out of your way to send me a message or to post that you enjoy what I'm doing a broadcast, you actually have a chance to put your money where your mouth is, so to speak, by filling out the grades, not just for my crew, but for all of the crews. Kind of a cool thing that Awful Announcing does. It's @AwfulAnnouncing if you guys want to do that. Let's get to an email question, Jack.
All right, so this is from Zach Davidson. He says, "Hey Ross and gang, I was thinking about the use of analytics and modeling. Football was heavily supported by President Teddy Roosevelt as he thought it was a tactical military-like game. I was wondering if the military is developing analytical tools and modeling for the battlefield. Are advances in those tools being used by other military tools by the NFL or NFL by the military?"
Ooh. First of all, Zach, that's a great question. Secondly, he just retired from the Air Force, and his mind is always thinking a few steps ahead. So thank you so much for your service, Zach, and congratulations on an incredible career. You know, I don't know. I know there's a lot of collaboration between the NFL and the military when it comes to helmet design, helmet manufacturers, to try to prevent concussions, which makes a lot of sense. I don't know if there's as much from the analytics side, although possibly, because I do think there are times where they do talk about certain tactics and certain strategies. I think it's actually more, Zach, leadership stuff than it is like analytics or tactics, but who knows? That could be changing. Really good question. I can't wait to get to more of your email questions as we move forward into January. Other than that, I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network on Samsung TV Plus, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. Now is the time. You just made a New Year's resolution. You are going to stop procrastinating. Put your money where your mouth is. Again, myfrontpagestory.com. Get your significant other the best gift ever. Then you got backofficescheduler.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, and Pizza Boy Brewing.